With this next example, we're going to take a look at how to find the point estimate, margin of error, construct a confidence interval, and then just a general question about the results that we found. It says use the sample data and confidence level given below to complete parts A through D. A research institute poll asked respondents if they felt vulnerable to identity theft. In the poll, n is equal to 995, so that's our sample size. X is equal to 506, so that's the number of successes, that's the amount of people that said yes. Use a 90% confidence level. Okay, first it's asking us to find the best point estimate of the population proportion. Well, the best point estimate will be the number of successes divided by the sample size. Now in Statcrunch, it'll give us the best point estimate, which is the sample proportion. It'll give us the confidence level. However, it's not going to give us the margin of error, which it's also going to ask. But we can use the confidence interval to find the margin of error instead of using that formula that we see in the PowerPoint. It's a little bit easier. So now let's go ahead and open up Statcrunch. Okay, so now in Statcrunch, we go to Stat, Proportion Stats. We have one sample, and now what we're given here is a summary. We were told how many people we had. We were given the sample size, and we were given the amount of successes. So we have a summary here. So now let's go ahead and input that information. So the number of successes would be 506. The number of observations, 995. And now what we want to perform is a confidence interval for P. Confidence interval for the population proportion. So now here we'll enter our confidence level, which is 90%, so I have 0.90. Another thing that's neat, if I click on show critical value, it will also tell me what the critical value is as well. Now let's go ahead and click on compute, and now it gives me this information. So sample proportion, this is our best point estimate. So round to 3 decimal places, we get 0.509. 0.509. Okay. Now, for part B, it's asking about the margin of error. Margin of error is not given to us with Statcrunch. But what we can do is we could use the easier formula in the PowerPoint where we take the upper limit and then we subtract the lower limit and then we divide that by 2. Okay. So let me go ahead and open up that whiteboard so we can find the margin of error. So we have E is equal to, so it's the upper limit minus the lower limit, and then we divide that by 2. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's go back and see what our upper limit and lower limit were. So my upper limit, we'll just go to 4 decimal places just to be on the safe side. So we have 0.5346, 5346, and subtract then the lower limit. Lower limit 0.48, say 25, 0.4825. And then we're going to go ahead and divide that by 2. Okay. So let's go ahead and subtract first. 0.5346 minus 0.4825. So that gives me 0.0521. And then I'm going to go ahead and divide that by 2. That gives me 0.02605. This would be our margin of error. Now in our problem it says to round to 3 decimal places, so I'm going to have 0.026. I'm going to put that in, so it's 0.026. Okay, now it's asking for the confidence interval. Here, so let's put our lower limit first. So I have 0.482, and then I have 0.535. So once again, this is our lower limit, and then this is our upper limit. Now it says, write a statement that correctly interprets the confidence interval. Now confidence intervals, what they are, is we are a certain percentage confident that the lower bound and upper bound contain the true value of the population proportion. That's the correct way for interpreting confidence intervals. So for our particular problem, we have a 90% confidence level. So correct interpretation is one has 90% confidence that the interval from the lower bound to the upper bound actually does contain the true value of the population proportion. So our answer choice here is B.